It's just coffee, right? You tap your card, $5, maybe 6 if you're in a city, flat white, oat milk, 1 sugar. No big deal. But that single cup, it crossed oceans, changed currencies, triggered trades, and touched more global systems than you'd ever expect. Most people blame rising prices on one thing, inflation. And sure, that's part of it. But inflation is just the surface. What's really driving that price hike is a chain reaction of hidden forces. For example, did you know that a drought in Brazil can shift the global price of your morning cup? Or that your oat milk might be more speculative than your stocks? Today, we're tracing your coffee's journey, bean to barista, to uncover 5 hidden forces shaping your daily brew, and the entire global economy with it. And it all begins on a hillside in Brazil, where the ground beneath the beans is already shifting. Your $5 coffee starts on a quiet hillside in Minas Gerais, Brazil. The air smells of earth and leaves. João, a third-generation coffee farmer, walks between rows of Arabica trees before sunrise, checking the ripeness, watching the sky. But lately, the sky hasn't been kind. In 2021, Brazil was hit by a brutal 1-2 punch. Historic droughts, followed by sudden frost. Crops failed, leaves blackened. João's yield dropped by nearly 50%. This wasn't just a bad year, it was a warning. Arabica coffee is extremely sensitive to temperature. A few degrees too hot or a surprise cold snap, and the beans suffer or die. Climate volatility doesn't just raise risks, it raises prices. That same year, Arabica futures spiked more than 60%. And most of that burden falls on smallholder farmers who grow 80% of the world's coffee, but often lack crop insurance, credit, or climate-resilient infrastructure. Many of these farmers live on less than $3 a day. When disaster strikes, they don't recover. They leave. And when they leave, supply shrinks. Prices climb, quietly, steadily, until they land in your local cafe. Then came another blow. Fertilizer prices doubled in 2022, triggered by the war in Ukraine. Fuel and input costs soared. So before your beans even leave Brazil, your cup is already becoming more expensive. And João, he's wondering if his son should stay on the farm or walk away. Now your beans are packed, sealed, and loaded onto a truck bound for the port of Santos. From there, they'll sail across the Atlantic in a steel container. But in 2021 and 2022, that trip cost 4 to 5 times more than it did before the pandemic. Why? Because global supply chains broke, and we're still stitching them back together. At the height of COVID, factories shut down, ports clogged, shipping containers got stuck in the wrong countries. So when demand bounced back, we didn't have the capacity to catch up. A single delayed shipment in China could ripple into a Melbourne cafe or a New York roastery weeks later. Meanwhile, diesel prices soared, up nearly 75% in some markets. And freight, it's fuel hungry. Global shipping doesn't just move goods, it moves costs. And with every link in the chain, from the farmer to the exporter to the warehouse manager, raising prices to stay afloat, those costs flow straight into your cup. The coffee you drink might be priced on shipping rates set months earlier. So when ships got stuck in the Suez Canal, or ports were blocked during the Ukraine conflict, those disruptions are silently baked into future pricing. So as your beans journey across the ocean, they're not just absorbing salt air, they're absorbing global chaos. Now the beans have arrived, roasted, and delivered to your local cafe. Enter Alex. She's 26, works the morning shift, loves latte art, can pull 3 shots in under 30 seconds. But like many in hospitality, she's watched wages stagnate, while rent, groceries, and transport climb higher each month. And cafes? They're stuck balancing a brutal equation. Wages are up, utilities are up, rent is up, disposable income from customers? Often flat. During COVID, thousands of cafes shut permanently. The ones that survived came back leaner, but not always stronger. Your $5 isn't pure profit, it's survival math. Wages make up 30 to 35% of most cafe costs. Add beans, milk, rent, insurance, maintenance, and what's left? A cafe might only net 5 to 10% profit on that $5 coffee, That's less than 50 cents. Assuming nothing breaks, no one calls in sick, and business stays steady. So when prices go up by 50 cents, it's not greed, it's pressure. Alex loves her job, but she's thinking about quitting because passion doesn't pay the electricity bill. Here's something that rarely makes headlines. Your coffee is being traded, not once, not twice, but millions of times by people who will never drink it. Coffee is one of the most heavily traded commodities on earth. And while futures contracts can help farmers and buyers lock in prices, that's not who's driving most of the action. In 2022, nearly 40% of the coffee futures market was controlled by non-commercial traders. Think hedge funds, institutional players, speculators. These aren't people managing farms or roasting beans. They're chasing volatility, buying and selling based on algorithms, macro trends, or market sentiment. And when those traders move in or out fast, prices swing. Not because of drought, not because of shipping, but because of Wall Street mood swings. The result? Your local cafe might be paying more for beans, not because of what happened in Brazil, but because of what happened at a trading desk in New York. Speculation has financialized coffee, turned it into a game of volatility. And in that game, every ripple, every bet eventually lands in your cup. Finally, we arrive at the most familiar part of the journey. You, standing at the cafe counter. There's soft music playing, the barista knows your name, and in your hand, your daily cup. But this moment, it's about more than caffeine. Over the past 2 decades, coffee has evolved. From fuel to ritual, from quick jolt to cultural signal. Think about it. Single origin, oat milk, latte art, compostable cups, Rainforest Alliance stamps. These aren't just features, they're identity cues. And this shift has quietly reprogrammed what we're willing to pay. Back in 2000, the average coffee in the US cost around $1.60. Today, over $5 in many cities. We're not just buying caffeine, we're buying a moment, a mood, a version of ourselves. Coffee hits all three, which means as the cultural value of coffee rose, so did the pricing power of everyone in the chain. So when cafes and roasters raised prices, it wasn't just because they had to, it was because we let them. And now, here you are, holding a $5 ritual, 1 part bean, 1 part inflation, and 1 part you. Let's close with 2 truths that most people never consider when they pay $5 for coffee. First, the misconception. Most people assume coffee prices are simple. Bad weather, lower supply, prices go up. Easy, right? Not quite. What almost no one realizes is that the price of your coffee today is shaped just as much by traders, algorithms, shipping routes, and lifestyle branding as it is by rainfall or harvest size. You're not just paying for a bean, you're paying for a bet on everything behind it. Now, here's the deeper truth. Coffee is grown almost entirely in the global south, but it's consumed overwhelmingly in the global north, which means the people who grow it, those living with the climate risk, the labor shortages, the economic shocks, have the least say in how it's priced. They carry the burden. We sip the reward. Next time someone rolls their eyes at a $5 coffee, remind them it's not just inflation, it's climate chaos, it's global shipping meltdowns, it's cafe economics, it's financial speculation, it's lifestyle branding disguised as caffeine. And somehow, all of that fits in one takeaway cup. Last week I paid $7 for a coffee. No truffle foam, no gold flakes, not even latte art. It was just beige liquid in a cup. Honestly, I felt personally betrayed. I left emotionally damaged and went to the cheaper cafe down the street the next day. But it made me realize something. Prices aren't just numbers, they're stories. Mini documentaries about climate, trade, labor, psychology, and our willingness to pay for vibes. That's what hidden economics is all about. If you learned something, laughed a little, or just feel slightly less guilty about your oat flat white, hit like, subscribe, and tell me your worst coffee price moment in the comments, especially if it involved $7 and regret. Thanks for watching, stay caffeinated, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.